Well, I've only gone and done it, got to me 1,000 subscribers, and as promised, here I am to tell you what paper I use for my oil pastels. First off, I'd like to say thank you to all you guys that have subscribed. I really didn't expect ever to get to 1,000 subscribers. And all I need to do now is to get my watch hours up, and I will be in the monetized area, which is fantastic. You know, I don't expect I'll get much out of it, but what I will get is enough to help do more videos and to teach you guys more as we go on. And that helps me to buy oil pastels and things like that that I might think that people might want to see, as if I haven't got enough already. Anyway, you want to hear all about my paper. I know you do, because I promised you at 1,000 subscribers I would tell you the paper I use, and I'm not going to go back on my word. So before I get started, I'm actually going to tease you a little bit more. You have to work out exactly what is it you want from your paper. I've made all them considerations over the course of a few years now, and I have settled on a paper that is ideal for me and the way I paint, and you will have to find the paper that is ideal for you and the way you paint, or the way you want to paint. So that said, as you have seen probably in previous videos, my painting style, I hope, is fine art. And I'm very detailed, which is something you can't normally get from oil pastels, although I do seem to achieve it. But it wouldn't be possible without the right paper. The paper is the most important thing, if I am being perfectly honest. Now, the type of paper I use is a cellulose paper. And the cellulose paper is for watercolours. Now, what are the reasons that I use a cellulose paper? Well, number one, I can actually get different textures, so that's great. Number two, because it's cellulose, it actually helps the oil pastel to spread and blend a lot better. I have used the Sennelier oil pastel paper, and I have used this cellulose paper, and just for me, the cellulose paper is far superior because it does more of what I want it to do. I'm not really sure what the Sennelier paper is made of. I don't believe it is cellulose. Now, the other thing you get with cellulose is that not only do you get these rougher textures, okay, you also get black. Now, I haven't used this black as yet, and it is quite a rough texture, but you'll see when I do, and it's actually really nice. Now, the other one I showed you was a rougher texture. This one is rough, but not quite so rough, and teasing you again, this one is the one I use. Now, I don't expect you've seen any difference with them, but I'm going to demonstrate that difference. So we're going to start with the roughest paper of them all, and that would be this. It's Clairefontaine, it's watercolour Etoile, and this particular one is 300 grams, and in this particular pad you get 10 sheets. Now, I find Clairefontaine papers to be absolutely fantastic, and as you know, Clairefontaine also make Pastelmat, which is another paper you can use for oil pastels, but you're not going to get the blending that you want as you would on this. I'm going to show you, by way of applying pastel onto this, and I'm going to put quite a dark pastel on, and the reason for that is so you can see the texture a bit more. I'm going to show you how rough this is. Now, that will help you to determine whether you would like a rough looking texture in your oil pastels. So I'm going to start at the top right hand corner here. So you can see I'm just gently laying the pastel, and you can see it's got a rough texture. Obviously, the harder you press, the more that will fill in, but you'll still have this texture showing. You'll be able to get plenty of oil pastel onto that. But what you will find a lot harder on this paper is detail. So I'm just going to show you how that blends into it. Let's get a bit closer, shall we? Yeah, you can see that a lot better now. So this is where it's not quite so filled in, and this is where it's definitely filled in, and that is absolutely blending a treat. But you are still seeing specks of paper, which means you could probably, almost undoubtedly, go on with a lot more oil pastel. Now that's great if you're looking for basically impasto type paintings, really thick type paintings. This paper would be ideal for that. My classes had some of this paper. They didn't quite get on with it because they also want to produce fine art. But you can see that's working out a treat, and you'll get plenty of oil pastel on it. So that's the rougher texture, and that is the cellulose Aquarelle Activell watercolour paper. Right, let's go up to, we'll keep on the white for now. Let's go up to the next one, which is this one. Now the other thing I will say is, as you can probably see from this, you get lots of different sizes. This one is an A4, 21 by 29.7 centimetres, or 8.3 by 11.7 inches for my American friends. So that one is that size, portrait kind of size, and then this one is twice that size almost, and then you get bigger than that, and you get bigger than that, so you can go really large with these paintings. So this is the next roughest. Now I have done an oil pastel on this, and I'm going to show you that. In fact, I think it was my last oil pastel that I did. To you to work out whether you can see any difference. But I'm now about to show you the texture of this paper. I'm laying that on there lightly, and you can see it's a lot more, it's a lot finer, but still rough. I'll get the other one just to compare. So you can see there's a lot of difference there and a lot of difference here. So I'm just going to lay that in there a bit thicker. These pastels I'm using are really soft at the moment, and the reason for that is because that's that old box of Mungios I have that were destroyed by melting. But you can see this blends in a lot better, but you are still going to get plenty of oil pastel on. You can still add layers on top. So this one, if you didn't have anything else and you wanted to do fine art, I'd say you could use this. And obviously you've now seen my picture that I've done with it. This one, not so much. So you can see the difference there. Now I'm going to go on to this one here. These are all cellulose, by the way. This is the Aquapad, cellulose Aquapad. And again, it's basically watercolour paper, and it's 300 GSM again. I think all these are 300 so far. And it's a cold pressed texture. All acid free, absolutely brilliant papers. So this again has a rougher texture, but not as rough as the last one, and I'll show you that. So we're now starting to get into the realms of getting fine textures so that we can do fine paintings. So again, let's compare them. I hope you can see the difference. I'm now about to blend this in. And this one in effect is not too different to the last one. Maybe a touch different. And again, you can also layer up with this. So we're getting finer as we go on, aren't we? You can see how much closer the blends are getting together, and that will lend you to your fine art, if that's what you want to do. So now, let's go to my favourite paper. It's this one. Now this is the finest of the lot, and the moment of truth, it's this one. And you'll note it's only 200 grams. I'm not sure they do a 300 grams in this, and I do believe that this might be the student grade for these better papers. However, for me, this is the much better paper for oil pastels. It's all cold pressed, all acid 3, it's 25 sheets in here, and this one's actually a 30 by 40, so it's the same size as the bigger ones, but there are bigger. So what we're going to do is we're going to now show you the texture that I'm working with, and you can see already that we're looking a lot finer. I've gone with a darker colour this time. I shouldn't have done that, but there we go. And it's easy to fill in, so your picture will go a lot quicker. Sometimes you might notice a line here. Sometimes in these pads you may end up with a little bit of a deformation. I think that's the word. That won't hinder you in one little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to blend this, and you can see hopefully how blendable that is. It does blend lovely on this cellulose paper, and again you can add layers on top. So for me, this is the paper I use for nearly all my oil pastels. I do test other ones just for the sheer hell of it, but I always come back to this one. So there we have that beautiful blend. Now what I'm going to do on here is I'm just going to show you how I can get a really nice blend. Now I'm barely touching this paper, and you can see the texture, and I'm going to go over with one more layer just to darken it up a bit, just to get some pastel on it, so that I can then start blending together. And I'm going to use an orange here, very lightly. This would be my first sort of layers if I was doing a picture. I just want to show you how it blends together, and we'll use this yellow here. Okay, so I'm going to go from the yellow up to the orange, and look how that's blending in. I can probably put numerous layers on here. Well, I know I can because I've done it before in my pictures, and throughout this video I've been showing you the different pictures I've done on them. Different pastels will work differently on the paper, but you can see these are the Mungyo Galleries, and they're working a treat. And just blend that in quickly for you, get a nice blend going on. So don't press too hard. I'm probably pressing a little bit harder than I should, but that's because I'm trying to rush for you guys so you're not getting bored. But you can see that's the very first layers, and already we've got a supreme blend going on there. I just love how this paper blends. Look at that. Isn't that excellent? Should really change my cotton bud for this, but you get the idea. But you can see they're just blending and merging into each other. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one more layer on, just so you can see exactly where we're going with this. I'm going to put one more layer on there, And you can see there's still texture left in the paper. So that's quite good. It means you can keep layering up. You'll see it more with the darker colours, obviously. And I'm going to get a clean cotton bud this time. I'm going to show you how these blend together again. So I'm just going to blend it all in very lightly and blend these two edges together. Look at that. I just love this paper. Look how them blends are going on. I am always fascinated by how they blend together. I come down, change the cotton bud over. I'm going downwards, getting a very smooth merging type of blend. Look at that. Now, that's how I get my fine art, or part of it. And this is the paper I use, and this is why I am able to achieve the paintings I achieve. I could use this for impasto effects, but I'd probably go for one of them rougher papers if I was to do that. But again, I would still use cellulose because it just blends so much better. So I hope that has given you some idea of a paper you can use. Just want to show you this. Look at that tiny little pad. That's a postcard size pad. So you can use that for practicing on. Yeah, I hope that has been worth your while. So as I said right at the beginning, you have to consider what type of painting you want to do. And then you consider what type of paper is going to be best to get that effect. And for me, that Clairefontaine 200 gram Eteval watercolour paper is by far the best for the type of paintings I do. I'm not going to say it'll be the same for you, because you may want to do thicker, clumpier, more impasto type paintings. So therefore a thicker, rougher texture of paper would be better. But for me, this works absolutely fantastic. You can do every single technique on all of these papers, and because it's cellulose, it does blend a lot better. It moves across the top of the surface of the paper a lot better, which is what you're trying to achieve. You're trying to achieve moving the oil paint, effectively, over the top of the paper. And that's why canvases work so well with oil paint. So I hope that was worth waiting for. Thank you for getting me to the 1,000 subscribers. Please get me to my watch time hours, and please watch the videos. And I'm really set. I've got plans for this channel. It involves perhaps doing a once a week art group. It involves perhaps rewards and things like that. I'm not really sure how it's going to pan out yet, but I quite like the idea of the art group. Please remember, I have another channel. I am the admin on Facebook of the Oil Pastel Society, so please go over and join that. And please go over and join the YouTube channel. Just put in the Oil Pastel Society, I'm sure it'll come up. So until next time, please have a great day, a great week and a great year, and please be kind. Bye for now.